This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
We're going to go to James Teague, as we always do. James, so I've gotten into this radio thing a little bit, and I'm digging it. But I found out that there's a day for everything. Like if you have International Kangaroo Day, Jingle Bell Day, whatever. But today it's National Pizza Day. Where do you get your pizza pie from? What's your favorite?
Man, I'm probably the wrong guy to ask. I'm not a pizza connoisseur. I really don't know the difference. You know, I'm satisfied with a little thin crust Domino's, and I'm good to go.
That works. Hey, so. Domino's can get it done. They got that $5. You get the 5 mediums for $5. I know all about it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This Arkansas Razorback baseball team, man, they're getting it on. They know about it right now, winning some baseball games, a chance to win 40 baseball games, number 2 in the country, kind of peaking at the right time. What were your thoughts on the game yesterday and what they got going on today?
I did not get to watch the game yesterday. I looked at the box score a little bit ago. You know, it looked like kind of the formula we need with Hagen Smith, giving us some solid innings, you know, the offense producing, you know, capitalizing on some mistakes from Vanderbilt. And then just, you know, holding the fort down, you know, producing when we needed it. I was looking at the record too. It looks like we're 9-1 since that sweep in Georgia. I know when we talked a couple of weeks ago, we talked about that season kind of being an inflection point. You know, we're going to go one way or the other. Well, it looks like we're definitely going in the right direction, and I think the wins are kind of indicative of that.
James, it's Clay Henry. When you're pitching and Peyton Holt goes into the hole and bounces it over to first base, and they get the guy by like a fraction of an inch, and he's out there laying down. And, you know, I saw the pitcher turn around, basically tip his cap. I mean, when the defense is playing like that, what's it do to your confidence on the mound?
Oh, I mean, it's unbelievable, especially when you feel like you maybe stole one. It's kind of like hitting a drive left off the tee, but you hit a tree and it kicks back in the fairway. You're just like, I don't know how that happened, but I got the result, and I'm thankful. It's a little different here because you've got other guys, you know, doing the work for you. But when you've got confidence in your defense that they can make those plays, and they're going to make the everyday plays, but they can also make the exceptional plays, it lets you be aggressive as a pitcher and, you know that your defense has got your back.
They started Hagen Smith, and he's throwing it 93, 94, 95. He went 5 innings, and then they brought in Will McIntyre, and we know Will's he's not going to beat you with heat. He's going to every pitch moves. There's going to be change up and cutters that are 85, 86. Does that catch a hitter off balance when the speed changes that dramatically and location is so good?
Yeah, I think they're going to be a good duo because you've got Hagen Smith from the left side who kind of has that funky kind of low elbow slot delivery, higher velocity. And then you've got McIntyre, who's obviously the right-hander, a little bit more over the top, like you said, cutters, change-ups, those things. So maybe a deal where the first couple times to the lineup, they're getting Hagen Smith. They're getting just a totally different look, the third and fourth time through. So, that could kind of turn out to be a deadly combination, if that works going forward.
James, from playing and from being a competitor, from going to the weight room to regular season, we always have goals. There's always goals and things that you want to do when you're out there. If it's in the weight room to get your bench press up, if it's to win all your home games, if it's to have an ERA below a certain amount. Did y'all ever talk about being able to win the SEC championship, regular season title, the SEC championship in the tournament, and the national title? Like right now, they still can do all three of these main goals.
Yeah, that is true. I think for us, it was more about taking care of business each weekend, and then winning the SEC was kind of a byproduct of that. I'll be honest with you, winning the SEC is much more important than winning at Hoover. Hoover is kind of a bonus because a lot of times guys get to Hoover and they're kind of wore out. Their minds are kind of already thinking about regionals. They kind of want to get back home and get rested. But, to go out there and win 20-plus games, essentially, in conference play, that would be an extremely high goal to set. But it's one that this team, is going to meet. if you take care of business, these things kind of take care of themselves with all these separate goals. But I don't specifically remember having one that was maybe more important than the other.
Right on. Yeah, every time you get a chance to compete and go out there, that's what you're trying to do. Can you talk a little bit about Peyton Holt and what he's meant to be able to come in? He was as what does Coach Van Horn say, Clay, that he doesn't have backups?
He has future starters.
and he's come in there and he's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those guys when you look back and you're like, how was this guy on the bench? He's so good. But when you have Stovall, that's going to be a tough spot to overtake, even if he is, a stud. But, guys get their opportunities and they show out, and that's kind of how they start laying the foundation for being that, future star, for being that future starter. So, I mean, yeah, we were really talking about the depth in the bullpen to start the season. We got all this depth. Well, turns out we needed it with the dozens of injuries we've had, but we've got some depth from the position player standpoint too. I think you're seeing that with Holt.
Yeah, and you're able to put Ben McLaughlin on the bench as a left-handed pinch hitter now because you've got Jared Wagner back in left field. So it's just seems like that's even more pressure you can put on a team late in the game. You can pinch it for your catcher with a big left-handed bat, and that's kind of an interesting development. You went from no depth and now you have some.
Especially, a lot of bullpen guys, a lot of good bullpen arms are going to be kind of those hard-throwing right-handers, and so to have a power left-hander that doesn't have to go left on left but can go left on right in those circumstances is going to be really helpful.
James, what do you think? So they have a chance to clinch, not the outright, but they can clinch the title. If they got help, they could win outright today. How do you have a sense of awareness of the players and the coaching and going into this game? Is it all hands on deck? Is it like, let's go out there and win this game and you'd win the regular season title with a game to spare?
I think so. And I think that's part of the reason why McIntyre threw yesterday when they got the lead. They did not want to let that one slip away. It's really hard to win an SEC title with all the teams that are stacked. I mean, you look at this year, I don't know how many teams in the top 10, but it's crazy. And you have to go out and win 20-plus games more times than not to win the SEC. So I think today is going to be kind of the let's put it all out there to win today, and then we can put the pieces together tomorrow. But we've kind of been putting the pieces together all season, so it may kind of be business as usual. Who knows?
Yeah, I was thinking that you might see Tiger, then Holland, and then Wood. You might see all three of these today, and that they just bullpen it tomorrow, that they, have a little fun. If they get the lead, Dave Van Horn's going to go all in with his staff.
I agree. 100% I agree.
Well, so I think that this is a team that's probably surprised some folks, James. They were ranked high in preseason, but not as high as some other teams, and a lot of new faces. You need a roster every time you go out there to watch them. You're having to learn them. Do you think this has been a little surprise, come out of left field, or is it just Dave Van Horn? You should never rule him out.
Yeah, I think the formula has been surprising considering what pieces contributed versus maybe what the projections were at the beginning of the season. I think everyone thought this was going to be a top 10 team at least, but I think Van Horn has found a way to do it in a way that no one really saw coming, just based on the injuries and based on how guys have performed. Really, a lot attributed to the injuries, but it's kind of like we talked about before, Matt. DVH is kind of like a cook. You've got all these ingredients, and you have to just find out which ingredients and which pieces go where. And as the season goes on, he typically gets stronger. He typically finds that recipe more times than not as the season progresses. I think that's what we're seeing. With all the injuries, this team could have been pretty bad, but I think they've done enough and they found the right pieces in the right times to put together kind of a remarkable season.
Right. Let them in the kitchen. Let them cook, James. You're exactly right. James, with your father at Roberts at the Teague Law Firm, can you talk a little bit about what law y'all got going on right now?
So I was thinking about this question today before I came on, and it might be kind of a corny analogy, but the law practice is kind of like this hog season. It's like a lot of things change, a lot of things happen. You start a case and you've got all these strong points, and you think, oh, this is a slam dunk, and then 2 months down the road, the facts change, circumstances change, things happen. And so you really have to be malleable. You really have to be flexible and know how to think on the run and be able to, sometimes take bad facts or take, things that people maybe wish they could do different and turn that into a positive light and vice versa. And so, that's part of our law firm. We're Swiss Army knife firm. We can do a little bit of everything, but I think what makes us really valuable is, with Robert's experience and me coming on with him is, to look at all these cases and to say, how can we take not great circumstances and make them great, and how are we going to advocate for the clients to do so? Good, bad, or ugly, we're going to do our best to make sure we get to a positive outcome.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.